Aloha. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning. This is Andrew Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, with Spiritual Image Productions on Facebook Live. Aloha and welcome to today's update. Today's title of our show being called Father's Day, Pump in England, Public Records, Dominican Republic, the value of your personal data, and more. Today, I decided that I would start out. I want to give a blessing out to all those fathers out there this coming Father's Day. I know it's not going to be this Sunday, but the following Sunday. But since I'm only doing these about once every or actually about 3 or 4 weeks or so, maybe even longer, I don't know, just whenever, I thought I'd go ahead and wish y'all dads a happy and joyous and safe and secure and blessed Father's Day, just for the taking, right? So all you dads out there that are doing your due and doing the right thing, you know who you are. Just keep at it. And if you're not doing the right thing, well, then you got to make some changes, like yesterday, right? So anyhow, the next thing I want to talk about is President Donald Trump. I can't even. All this time he's been the president, and I still can't. I bring myself to calling him president. I mean, Donald Trump is about as good as it gets for me, and this guy is a character, man. There was, and I don't know if you've been watching any of the follow-up, the news or whatever concerning him and his wife Melania being out there in England for the last 3 days, 3 days. But man, that guy, that guy, I don't know if he's got some guts or he's crazy or what, but there's like a huge protest. I mean, if he would have ran for prime minister, or if they had such a thing as president of England out there, I definitely don't think he would have won at all, man. I hate to say it, but I don't think he would have won at all, not even for a second. Anyhow, he's treading on thin ice right now, and I think he and I don't know, he seems to be somewhat quiet lately. It seems like to me, but I think that's because he's treading on thin ice, and people want to impeach him, people want to kick him out, all kinds of things. All right, so Mr. President Donald Trump, I would say that it would be wise for you to just really maintain a low profile right now. I really would. Just maintain a low profile and just maintain the peace, not only within yourself, but around you, of course. And so I would really strongly suggest that you maintain an upright attitude, professional attitude, because people want to impeach you really bad right now. I'm telling you. And they showed some stuff, some footage of him falling asleep while Queen Elizabeth II was talking during the banquet on I think it was on the first night. And I don't know, maybe he's depressed. Maybe he's maybe he's got diabetes. I don't know, but I think he really should maybe get some exercise or something, and really get some sunshine, because it seems to me like his health may not be in the greatest condition. So maybe Mr. President Donald Trump, I suggest just get out and go for a walk. every day. I mean, I'm talking about every day, not just like 2 or 3 times in a week. Just just for even half an hour or an hour if you can. But I would strongly suggest that you maintain some kind of healthy condition for yourself, because otherwise, and that's what you're gonna need. That's what you really need to keep alert and on top of things. And I'm not saying that you're not, but there's a lot of people questioning your judgment and your abilities and your leadership. So, and I'm not talking a few. I'm talking a lot of people are questioning you. And so I would really look at yourself in the mirror and find out what can you change about yourself that would allow people to think that you're much more and I don't even know that ambitious is the right word, but more I think maybe I don't know what I want to say right. For some reason I keep using my train of thought, but or lost for words. But anyhow, I would get yourself straightened out and so people think that you're a leader and not a not a Hitler. I don't know if that's the right word either, but you really want to get along with your people, your tribes, because if you don't get along with the people that put you in office, that's not good. That's not healthy at all. I would strongly suggest that you figure out some way to get along. Can't we get? It's like that, really. So now the next thing I want to talk about is public records, and there was a movie, or actually it was a documentary called "The Value of Your Personal Data," which I gave it 2 thumbs up. It was very informative. I believe, and right now I'm back to Netflix again, watching stuff on Netflix again. But that particular documentary, I believe I've seen it on Amazon Prime. There's still a few movies, a few movies that I watched on Amazon Prime, but I decided I just wasn't in the budget for the Amazon Prime, so I let it go for the trial period, and I'm back in Netflix. So anyhow, that particular documentary was very informative. If you have a chance and you get Amazon Prime, I would watch that if I was you. It's very informative. It's very up to date in terms of what's going on with, and we're not even talking about social. We're talking about information. We're talking about the internet. And it was very clear with these people that your information, all of the personal information that you put on the internet, it stays there for life, forever and ever. Amen. Yeah, you deleted it. Oh, it's still there. Just like a few years ago, we had a conversation about nudity and people's women's boyfriends posting nude photos of them after their breakup, right? They put them out there, and the solution to that problem is never ever take nude photographs of yourself or allow anybody to take nude photographs of you unless you would really want them out there and you're okay with that. Or better yet, hire a professional photographer and get some really nice, classy nude photographs of your Playboy style or whatever, and then put them out there if that's what you really want, and that's what you're really into. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Photographs preserve you for life, forever and ever. Amen. Right? So, especially if you're younger now and you have a hot body or whatever, a good-looking body, or even if you're older and you're still, good-looking, and you feel comfortable with yourself and you're okay about being a nudist, I believe that's a good word, then hiring a photographer and doing some professional stuff and getting some nice classic photographs and then putting them out there. That's the best thing if you're really okay and if that's what you really want. But if you don't want them out there, if you don't want nude photographs of you out there at all, don't let anybody take nude photographs of you at all. Period. Nobody, not even your boyfriend, your husband, or whatever. Even if your husband and you don't break up, or your wife and you don't break up, who knows? Somebody can come in and steal them or whatever. So, and especially if you have them on your photograph. And this is back to the subject of public records. Yeah, it's so easy, and that's what this show, the value of your personal data, that documentary was all about. It's so easy for hackers to go into your computer, even if you have it turned off. And I mean, years ago, I told my girlfriend, I said, put some tape over that camera, because even if you're not using it, there can be people can come in and look at you through your own camera, and you don't even know it. And it used to be where the light would come on, and that happened to me literally about 2 years later, 3 years later. Literally, I was at Barnes and Nobles here in Flagstaff, and all of a sudden the light came on. Some hacker was coming in and checking me out through my own camera on my computer. Holy shit! How'd that happen? Right? So it's like that. I mean, these guys, they're immune to everything. You can hide all you want, but they can get into your computer in and out, and you'll never know about it. A lot of times. So and just like records. Now, what this documentary emphasized was that all your information, and there's a lot of information, and I want to be clear about this. There's a lot of information out there that through the public records, through the courtrooms or whatever, that's available, and it's out of your hands to some extent, and you can't you can't stop people from going in there and grabbing your stuff, right? Your information. So but it's still your information, all your information, and that's what these guys are saying. Companies are making millions, I think even billions of dollars off of your information. It's your information, and they're out there exploiting you. My life. What were all these public records? One of them was public records. All these companies are going in, grabbing your information, exploiting everyone. Oh, Joe Schmo, we have all kinds of information on him. Or Suzanne Schmo, we have all kinds of information on her, and they're making money off exploiting you, which is a bunch of bullshit, right? So what you can do, again, it's your information, and they have to have rights. They have to have permission for them to put your information on their website, on their site. And so if you don't like them having your information on their site, what you can do is write them and say, I think literally I told them, I've never given you permission to exploit me and put my information on your site. And you are required to, and I command you to take my information off your site immediately. And every one of them did, except for My Life. Now, My Life has a thing where if you want your information taken off, you can go in there and tell them and put it. Have there's a function where you can turn it off yourself, but you have to pay for you to go in there. And I said, bullshit. You're blackmailing me into purchasing your subscription so that I can go and turn off my stuff on your site. Bullshit. You need to take that off now. And I tell you what, they did. They wrote me back, and I haven't checked it yet, but last time I checked, all the companies that had information about me on there, boom, it's gone. All of it's gone. And so, and then my life was the only one left. And so I wrote them and I said, yeah, you bullshit. You guys are blackmailing me into buying a subscription of your on your site, and that's not cutting it. And sure enough, and it's my information, and that's what these guys are saying. The value of your personal data documentary, that's what they're saying. Your information is worth money, and they're saying that later on you're going to be able to charge so much money for all your background, all your information. People and sites will be able to go in there and eat it up and put it on their site or whatever. But you're going to be able to literally charge for your personal information. But in the meantime, if you don't, give anybody permission to put your stuff and your information on their site, then, and you see it there, then you have the right to go in and demand that they take it off. But you have to let them know, hey, I didn't give you permission to put my information on your site, and you need to take it off now, like immediately. And so, and they are required. I'm pretty sure they're required to do so. That's infringement of intellectual rights. I believe that's what it probably would be called if you went to court. And so, if they don't want to take it off, then you can hire a lawyer and go to court, and they'll have to pay not only to have that stuff, your information taken off, but they'll have to pay lawyers and court fees too on top of all that, and possible fees to you for emotional damage or whatever you want to call it. So anyhow, if you go to public records and you find your information in there, regardless of whether it's good or bad or indifferent, it doesn't matter. You have the right to go in and request them to take your information off. And I believe, I'm almost 100% sure that they are required to take it off. I'm pretty sure. So anyhow, now the next issue I really want to talk about is Dominican Republic. There's been some incidences. People have been dying of respiratory problems. One woman was almost beaten to death. And they're coming back. The resort's coming back. Well, she I don't know what you would call it, and maybe that was not a good step for her to take. But supposedly she demanded $2.2 million to settle it out of court right away, right there on the spot. But that could be considered, I don't know, a blackmail or something. I don't know, but either way, it doesn't matter. That it doesn't take away from the notion, the ideology that she was beaten there almost to death, and Dominican Republic. I don't know if you have plans to go into Dominican Republic, but for those of you, anybody that wants to go over there on vacation, I would definitely avoid that place, period, at all costs, because I don't think it's very, very a very wise place to go and vacation. I think there's too much trouble. If you're hearing that much about it in the news, several incidences, at least 3 or 4 of them already within the last week or so. I would definitely suggest staying away from that place. Not a cool place to go to right now, I'm pretty sure. Now, so anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and go into movie and show movie reviews. 2 thumbs up. Again, the value of your personal data documentary on Amazon Prime, and they had several other documentaries that were similar to that I wanted to watch, but I just, it is what it is. Now, the father of Invention, that was a really interesting movie about this entrepreneur, and the value of now the value of your personal data was directed by Martin Jen Keith, and it was put out there in 2013. So that's an older documentary, and if it was to be updated now, there would be so much more information. I'm almost sure of it. But anyhow, the father of Invention came out in 2010 with Kevin Spacey, Camila Bell, Heather Graham, Johnny Knoxville, and Anna Schaefer. Again, that was an interesting movie. If there's some morals to learn about, learn out of a movie, then typically it's got my stamp of approval to some extent or another. And so I gave this one a 2 thumbs up. Kevin Spacey gets he's an entrepreneur, and somehow he gets he creates some kind of he's an inventor. Actually, he's an inventor, and he creates this machine, and somebody gets killed or something, so he goes to prison for it, right? And then he gets out, and then he has a hard time functioning. A lot of prisoners get out of prison, and they have a hard time functioning in the capacity that they're in. They hardly have any education or any skills or whatever talents at all, except maybe he's a musician or maybe a lot of times. But anyhow, he's having a hard time. This guy, he's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He's having a hard time functioning, in the real world now because of this shadow over his head. And so finally, his daughter turns out to be quite the entrepreneur herself, right? And so he helps her out. He ends up helping her out, and then finding his own another niche to work with, and ends up making the do, doing the do and making lots of money. But at the end he has this realization that he needs to be dad, not just entrepreneur. And so a very moving movie, and he at the end, everybody likes happy endings, right? Good endings and stuff. So anyhow, at the end he finally connects with his daughter, and they move on. So the show must go on, right? Yours, Mine, and Ours. Oh my God, let me see. Yours, Mine, and Ours. Dennis Quaid. Oh, and Renee Russo. Oh my God, this came out in 2005. I believe it was also a remake of the same movie. I think 1968 or something. I can't remember, but I believe it was a remake. Kind of like 80s and up type of movie, type of show, and yeah. The kids, they get like there was 12 of them, no 18. Oh my God, that's a classroom. What the hell? So anyhow, they end up getting together. All these kids, 18 of them, and like astronomical, right? Who can house that many kids? All right. So they have these 18 kids, and the kids are all pissed off because they didn't get a say so in the family unity thing, and so they decide they want to break up the parents, right? Dennis Quaid and Renee Russo, and so they do. They finally successfully break them up, and then they in that process they figure out that they really like each other and they like being with one another. So then they change their mind, and then they bring them back together, and then they go on from there. So interesting movie. Oh my God, that was a funny movie too. Lies and Alibis. Let me see. Lies and Alibis. Where's that? 2004. Steve Coogan, Rebecca Ramajan, Sam Elliott, James Brolin, Debbie Mazar, John Leguizamo, Selma Blair, Jerry O'Donnell, Sharon Lawrence, James Marsden, Jamie King, Terry Crews. Oh my God, that had an incredible lineup. Deborah Kara Unger. I had a huge lineup of celebrities in it. I because of the content of cheating, and I think the moral of the movie was, no matter what, no matter how professional the services are in cheating on your spouse, it doesn't pay. It doesn't pay, no matter what, right? Even if you get professional services rendered to you to cheat on your spouse, it still doesn't pay. So anyhow, a very a kind of a slapstick type of movie. It was kind of funny. Actually, it was funny, but you know, you know, with a tantric background or tantra background, you know, everything is transparent. Everything is on the table. If you want to be involved in a polyamorous relationship, then you talk about it, set boundaries and intentions, and then you set up an agreement, and boom, you're in a polyamorous relationship. But if you don't want to be that in a polyamorous relationship and just a monogamous relationship, then there's no bushing around. Everything's straightforward. You know, maybe you flirt around with other people, or maybe you check out other people, but that's as far as it ever gets. Third, right? You have boundaries. You set the boundaries. You set the intentions. You set the agreement. And again, that's the rules that you go by, and until further notice, if at all. And if you want to change those rules, then you sit down again and start all over. You build the package deal, and then put it together, and boom, it's a done deal. So anyhow, that you know, I didn't like the part the plot about cheating, but the moral of the story was it doesn't matter how you cheat. Cheating is cheating, and what goes around comes around. So it doesn't pay. So anyhow, that it was pretty funny. So the competition, the competition. Let me find that time out. Where is it at? Oh no! Oh, there it is. Thora Birch and Chris Klein. Oh, this was a borderline. You know, this is what I enjoyed about Amazon Prime, is that you know, it's like a pair of pants. You know, by by um, by Calvin Klein or whatever. You know, you have famous labels, popular labels, and there's a reason, because they have a history. They have history in terms of their quality and their services and whatever else. And so it's just like that with movies. You know, if you have new actors and new writers, new directors, then that's what you're going to get. And there's no guarantee that they're going to be good or not, or creative or interesting or geniuses or whatever. But when you have seasoned actors, seasoned directors, seasoned producers, it's a whole different ball game. They know what the hell they're doing, and they know how to make lemonade out of lemon, right? It's just like that. So anyhow, because again, this movie, The Competition, it was an interesting plot, I think, but maybe probably the writing could have been improved, and maybe the direction could have been improved. It was almost let me see, a one thumb up movie, but it was on the borderline. But I went ahead and threw it in two thumbs up, just because it was kind of funny, and it was interesting. The plot was interesting enough so that I just went ahead and gave it a 2 thumbs up. But anyhow, this girl gets into an accident. She can't find anybody to take care of her except her ex-boyfriend. And what do you think is going to happen? Duh, if her ex-boyfriend is going to be taking care of her. Let me think about this. I wonder. But anyhow, that's exactly what happened. And of course, his girlfriend gets all pissed off, blah, blah, blah. And so, it is what it is. So, now this was interesting because this movie's called Take Me Home Tonight. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. They didn't play that song, Take Me Home Tonight, and be my little baby, right? They didn't play that song at all. I just couldn't believe it. I was just blown away. I thought for sure they'd play that song. No, we're a bunch of dorks. We can't play that song. We don't know how. Duh, whatever. But I got to give them credit. I still give them two thumbs up. It came out in 2011. Topher Grace, Teresa Palmer, Anna Faris, Dan Fogler, Chris Pratt, and this is 2011. It's still kind of an older movie, but an interesting plot. And now, actually, this what could have also the thing that made this movie that gave it a 2 thumbs up was the music. They had some really nice, good music, and I think I told you guys before, and especially the English people. They have, if you watch a lot of their movies, they usually have really good music in the background, some in between or whatever. So if you listen to their music, they usually have pretty good music. And if the music would have been bad for this movie, it would definitely have gotten a 1 thumb up, and that's it. But the plot was kind of interesting. There were some really cheesy parts in it. They steal a car, and I can't believe that they don't even get pulled. They finally do get caught towards the end when they wreck the car, right? Nobody's looking for a really nice car. I can't remember what kind of car, but it was a really nice sports car, and yet there's no cops looking for that car at all. Amazing. And finally the cops, the only way they caught him is they wrecked the car. They're a bunch of idiots, but that's one. So anyhow, there's some cheesy parts, but the plot was interesting, and it could definitely it's definitely not an Academy Award winning movie, but it was funny and it's kind of slapstick and very lighthearted, if you want to call it that. Always be my be my maybe. I can't remember. Tell me. Always be my maybe. Oh, Ali Wong, Randall Park, Keanu Reeves was in it. All right. This came out this year. Amazingly enough, Ali Wong is a comedian, and I think she was on Netflix not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think she was pregnant in that episode. She did a whole stand-up routine, and while she was pregnant, and it was. I didn't watch it, and I don't know. I watched part of it, and I just didn't care for it too much. And so anyhow, but in this movie, she did a pretty good job. I thought it was pretty good. They had good music behind in the background again. The high school friends, or actually kids school. These kids grow up as friends, and they end up having sex, and then all of a sudden it just blows up in their face, right? And so they move on separate ways, and then all of a sudden they came back, and she's of like famous chef, blah blah blah, and then they end up getting back together again, and they figure out that they really do like each other, and all along they have, and they finally get together. So that was a nice ending. So Kanye West with David Letterman. Actually, the movie is called, it's a television series called Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. And it's actually a television series with several other guests. I think this is the second season that David Letterman is in this, involved with this. And this, I just happened to watch the one with Kanye West. I watched a couple others, I can't remember. Anyhow, it was interesting to see that Kanye West let his hair hang down and allowed him, and he literally put his vulnerability out there, put it on the table for the audiences and David Letterman to examine and experience and take in and imbibe, right? So it was really interesting, some of the background that Kanye West grew up with and dealt with, and some of the stuff that he's been, even now is dealing with. And I think I've said this before. A lot of musicians and entertainers, actors, and I can't say that all of them are, but probably a good percentage, 80, 90% of musicians and actors out there are what you call four-ray energy people. Their personalities, a four-ray energy soul, personality, or their soul is, or combination, or whatever, or their body, or their emotions, or whatever. So a four-ray energy. Again, there's 7 rays, main rays throughout the universe. Those are that's like the foundation of all the energies in the universe, right? And the 4th ray happens to do with beauty and magic through conflict. So I happen to, and I don't know that it's changed over the years. It may still be that way. I'm not, maybe not. But I last I knew, I had what you call a 4-ray personality energy. Again, creating beauty and harmony through conflict. Go out there and get in an argument, and the result would be people would get along better, or see things differently in a better way, or whatever, all kinds of stuff. So anyhow, that I'm pretty sure Kanye is also probably a 4-ray personality energy, and probably a 4-ray soul as well, is my guess. That's what I think, but I'm not sure. So anyhow, so he until, and I think he's getting there, because he's got a thing that he does every Sunday, like a sermon type of thing, in Burbank, California, I believe. Him and a group of people get together, and they do just like the Krishna people and the Indian people. They get together and they do bhajans. They sing, and if you've ever done this before, if you've ever sang bhajans with a group of people, and especially if the bhajans are really, really high energy songs or whatever, you'll feel the energy just pouring through like no tomorrow. It's just like wow, and once you leave, then you'll notice the difference, the shift in energy. So it's like that. So anyhow, I don't know that's what they're experiencing, but they're in that direction. They're in that space, and I don't know if they feel the energies the way a lot of other groups do or not. But my guess is that they do, and so I believe I believe he's getting in that direction, and eventually he'll be able to maintain a level of understanding and control, and be able to channel that energy in a good, healthy way for different things on a much better level further down the road. And if not this lifetime, next lifetime, or whatever. So like that. So anyhow, that was an interesting interview. If you again, I'm back to watching a Netflix show programming, so a lot of the stuff is from there. Now the last 2 thumbs up is a documentary that I watched, ReMastered, Devil at the Crossroads, about a guy by the name of Robert Johnson, who again is most definitely probably 4-ray energy, as my guess, they say that he was a mediocre musician, guitarist, and all of a sudden he disappeared for about a year and a half or whatever, and comes back, and all of a sudden it's like, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, just playing like these tunes that nobody's ever heard before, or nobody's ever seen because of the way he's playing his guitar. So it's really interesting, and he's the documentary is suggesting that all the great blues brothers, all the great blues musicians, and all the great rock and roll musicians, and maybe not all the great rock and roll musicians, or maybe most or a lot of them, or half of them, or whatever, but a good, strong percentage of the rock and roll musicians got their inspiration, their direction, their foundation from this guy, Robert Johnson. They said that he sold his soul to the devil, and often that's why he's been able to play so well. But they also bring in the notion of hoodoo, 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 versus voodoo, and I don't have an understanding of what hoodoo is. I don't think I've ever heard of it, and other than that it involves women doing some kind of magic and blah blah blah, and so they apparently Robert Johnson would go and play in cemetery. Supposedly he went to play in a cemetery and with these other two jazz musicians, reputable, renowned jazz musicians, and they said that if you really want to learn the blues and really want to get hang of it, and really imbibe the blues, go play at a cemetery, at a theater near you, right? So anyhow, they supposedly went and played with these musicians in the cemetery, late at night, and that's where he imbibed the gist of what blues was really all about, right? And so anyhow, and then comes Elvis Presley, and then Jimi Hendrix, and I don't know if they mentioned Bob Marley or not, and I don't even know if they mentioned Jimi Hendrix, but I think they did. And they had a lot of. And now, interesting enough, they also talked about 27 Club. What's her name? What's Winehouse? Winehouse supposedly died at 27. All of these other musicians, including Robert Johnson, all died at the age of 27. So that was an interesting pattern, an interesting coincidence that I never knew, and I still want to go investigate that and see what that's all about. But that was very interesting to note that. So anyhow, there were some other movies that I watched that were one thumb up. Breaking and Exiting. Breaking and Exiting. Jordan Henson and now Milo Gibson was in this movie. Milo Gibson, Breaking and Exiting. Let me think about this. Time out. Milo Gibson. I don't know if you know who Mel Gibson is, but it's actually Mel Gibson's son. And I wondered about that. When I seen the name, and I thought, I wonder if that's Mel Gibson's son. And sure enough, I went and looked him up, and it absolutely is Mel Gibson's son. Come on. Hang on. I thought that was very interesting, and I think he's got potential. Exiting. Okay, there it is. Time out. I gotta look this up. because there was actually a couple of movies that I watched with him in it in the last couple of weeks. Oh, it was actually kind of funny. That movie could have almost have been a two thumbs up movie, but if they would have had better screenwriting and maybe a better direction, I think it had potential to be a two thumbs up movie. But if you know, whoever half-assed did their job just just didn't put all themselves into it, and so I think they lost a lot of momentum because of that. So anyhow, that was kind of actually a kind of a funny movie. Let me see. Algorithm was, I think, was kind of a cheesy movie if I remember right. Time out. Let me see. Chris Panzera, Paulina Laurent. You know, who are these people? I don't know that they're even seasoned actors. What was that movie about? Time out. Now I gotta look it up. And this algorithm movie. Time out. That last movie with Milo Gibson was interesting. He's out robbing a house, and some woman's trying to kill herself. Right? She just goes, "Oh, just close the door when on your way out. Take whatever you want. See you later. Bye." And so he decides he wants to save her. Right? Uh, uh, you know. Oh, that was kind of a cheesy movie. Um, you know. The biggest interest for me was the technology, and that was very even that was kind of limited. So, Good Sam, this woman, uh, this guy gives away $100,000. There's a lot of cheesiness in that movie, but the plot is interesting, and you know, the Good Samaritan type of thing going on. The big Kahuna with Danny DeVito and Kevin Spacey. They're entrepreneurs, and you know it's kind of cheesy, but interesting in a way. Um, Let me see, young adult. What young adult? Who was in the young adult? Let me find it. Charlize Theron, Pat Oswalt. Oh, that was a really. You know, I couldn't believe. Wait. No, that was Jennifer Aniston. That was in that other movie. No, time out. I gotta look this one up. You know, a lot of these movies were so cheesy that I can't even remember their synopsis at all. Their storyline, their summaries. So I have to look them up. Oh, yeah, Charlize Theron wants to hook up with her own old flame, and she goes about it all in the wrong ways, right? So it was kind of one of those, you know, if you get into love affairs and stuff like that, you know, you might want to watch it. But to me, you know, I could take it or leave it. If I had nothing better else to do, and that's the only movie I had to watch for the night, I would watch it. But you know, there were some funny parts. There's some humor in it, and that made up for the sleaziness that was involved in the whole show. So, Life of Crime. Oh my God, I can't. Who was in that anyway? Let's see. Um, Young Adult was at 2011. Life of Crime. Oh, that's the one with Jennifer Aniston. That was almost a zero thumb up movie. You know, Jennifer Aniston, Isla Fisher, Tim Robbins, John Hawkes, Yazin Bey, Mark Boone Jr. You know, it had some celebrities in it, but you know, it was also made into. Well, was it made in 2014? And I don't know, maybe these celebrities didn't have anything else better to do, So they did that they did the movie. So to me personally, if I was in, especially Jennifer Aniston, she's the one that made the movie one thumb up, right? If she hadn't been in it, it'd probably be a zero thumb up. But that's exactly what, and that's because again, she's a seasoned actor, and that makes all the difference in the world when you have seasoned actors in a movie, right? Take care. Um, take care. Who was it? No. Oh, there it is. Leslie Bibb, Thomas Sadisky, 2013. What? I have to look up this name. I don't remember it. Take care. Take care. Oh, this is one of those. It was actually a cheesy movie. The plot was kind of interesting. And the a girl again, the girl gets in an accident. She has a boyfriend take care of her ex-boyfriend. Of course, they get involved. Blah blah blah. So it's like that. Good Omens. Now, Good Omens is a new television series that came out on Amazon Prime, and it just came out like literally a couple of weeks ago or so, or maybe even sooner than that. But Good Omens with Michael Sheen and David Tennant, it was really slow, slow build. And they're making it out to be like this amazing television show, and maybe the other episodes will build to a really interesting level of drama or whatever is going on with the show. But I particularly didn't find myself interested in the movie in the television show any more than the first episode, and I left it at that. So, Lovemakers, where is it at? C.J. Thomason and Cree Kelly. Again, let's see. Hang on. Time out. Lovemakers. Oh, yeah, I remember now. This movie production company. And it was kind of funny, kind of interesting, kind of romantic, but it definitely could have used some refining without a doubt. This mafia mobster or whatever, his sister breaks up with this guy, and there's this this movie production company that he wants to hire to get him together with this guy, the celebrity that she has, she's all infatuated with. That's what it's like. So they hire this production company, and they go, yeah, we can do this. We can mix them up, and if you do, I'll give you $3 million, whatever. I don't know what, but anyhow. So they do, and they think. Now it was funny because they think they hired the wrong. That they think they hire an imposter, somebody that's copycat, right? And so, or maybe not the copycat's not the right word, but anyhow, an imposter, and so they think they're hiring this imposter, and it's actually the real guy, the real celebrity, right? Because he needs work, he's out of work, and he's in a dry spell, so he goes and applies for the position, and he gets it, and they take him out to wherever, Brazil, I don't remember where they went to, but some foreign place, and they do all this stuff, and they pretend to be making a movie, but the imposter, the real celebrity, uh, gets his own crew out there because they didn't finish a movie. There was some movie they didn't finish, so he wants to finish it. So they end up finishing it, and he ends up hooking up with the girl. And so anyhow, amazingly enough, he ends up hooking up with the girl, and they live happily ever after. Blah blah blah, whatever. Patrick, oh my God, let me see Patrick. Patrick was about this dog, what pug? I think they're called pugs. Oh my God. Anyhow, this young woman inherits this pug, and she has to learn how to live with it, and she can't. She doesn't want the dog, but nobody else wants the dog either, so she ends up stuck with it. So anyhow, it was kind of funny. Cheesy again, and I think that movie had some nice music in it as well. Again, it makes so much difference when when a movie has a really good music in it, and not just like two or three songs. Some of these movies had 4 or 5 songs in them. What do you do? And not even an album, right? So when they have some really good music and it's a whole album, that sure makes a lot of difference. All the Devil's Men, I believe that's the other movie with Milo Gibson in it, and some woman's dad gets killed, so she's a CIA operative, supervisor or whatever, and let me see, All the Devil's Men, yeah, Milo Gibson and Sylvia Hoeks, and that came out last year. So anyhow, Milo Gibson is an ex Navy SEAL, whatever, and the guys that they're after, one of them is a buddy of his that he helped save in at Afghanistan. It was an interesting plot, but there were so many details that were left out that it was hard to follow along in a reasonable way. It was just really choppy. It was okay, but if you want to see Milo Gibson in action, then that would be a movie to watch. But otherwise, I could take it or leave it. It wouldn't hurt. Now, the last show movie I want to talk about is Still Laughing, the Stars Celebrate. That was really interesting. I can remember years ago when Laughing came out back in the 70s, right? 70s. Um, even though it was cheesy slapstick, they finagled their way around a lot of issues, racism, uh, political issues, all kinds of stuff, and they made fun of it, and they were able to get away with it, a lot of stuff. So it was interesting at all the celebrities, and that over the years have been on Laughing. Yeah, John Wayne, Sonny and Cher, um, Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas' father. I mean, so many celebrities show, and it was just even as cheesy as it was just one of those things to do. Everybody did it, so why not me, right? So it's like that. So anyhow, that's on Netflix now, and I think it's only an hour. I think if it was any longer than that, I don't know if I could handle watching much more than that. But it was very interesting. So anyhow, that's about it for now. If you want an astrology reading, get a hold of me. I'll hook you up, and then we'll go from there. Otherwise, have a God's week hump day. Be the love that you are, always have been, and always will be. Aloha.